All right, Rahul back, Yusra. Rahul back. Let's get into the Crystal City, okay? And first, I want you to understand that yes, this is a biological aspect of what's going to take place with the connectors in the brain, okay? And if you can see inside of your brain, you will see that there is light emitting inside of your bioluminescence body, okay? So once that's understood, and you apply the principle of so within and as above and so below, you understand that this is going to be taking place in the ocean and also in the sky. So the crystal city is three things, and that's how it should be understood. You can never simplify one symbol. You can never simplify one definition because it's all about meanings. It's not about definition. So what something means to you could be individual to what it means someone else, to what it means to someone else. Okay? So now, Nibiru's confused with a lot of planets that cross the sky. The simple terminology or the translation of Nibiru is planet that crosses the sky. So there's many planets that cross the sky. Nibiru's, and people are confused about the subject. They say, oh, 1 minute over here it says Nibiru is this, and over here on this book it says Nibiru is that. That is because of that principle of Trice Great that I explained. Now, the ancients, they didn't use telescopes, so mathematics was used to discover planets. So as most of you know, Neptune was discovered by using math, not by using telescopes. So there are alternatives to your approach to science. It doesn't always have to be tech. Okay, once Uranus was found, it was determined that there was another gravitational pull that was affecting the tilt in the orbit of Uranus. All right, so using math, all right, this probable that there's been planets, there's been solar systems and galaxies that's already been documented, that's always been known to the ancients or the indigenous of the land, that just hasn't been known to modern day science based off of their technology. But what the ancients would do, they would calculate reoccurring events, all right? Document and calculate reoccurring events in nature and species behavior, including natural phenomenon. So every certain amount of time or years, they would use these events to say there is something taking place outside of the atmosphere, okay? Because it's affecting the planet Earth. Overstanding the principle of what takes place in the stars would eventually take place on the planet Earth. So when a star bursts in the skies, it will be light years, they say, until it reaches the Earth and has an effect on the Earth. So there's stars that exploded right now that you do not feel the effects of simply because we haven't gone through the time. And a light year is only the distance of light will travel in 1 year, 1 Earth year. Okay? That's how that's determined. So astrologists would find correlations between the knowledge of the stars and the different species behavior and apply a date to it to say, okay, this is what happens every certain amount of years. Eventually, this knowledge takes form in astrology, astrophysics, religions in many ways. But so when the scriptures are talking about some sort of heaven coming from the sky or a new Jerusalem or, these type of things, this is to be taken literal. And that's where people have another disconnect because they think everything is some type of analogy or parable. Well, this here, when it's talking about the heavens coming from the sky, this is literal. All right. What you're going to see is a light show in the sky that everybody and all eyes on the planet Earth will witness. All animals, all of these will witness this light show. And this light show, it will be so fascinating that you will be in a state of a trance. In awe. Your life will be flashing by you. All your unbeliefs, your disbeliefs, your doubts, all these things will be flashing by you as you stare at this new reality of what you thought was a myth for so long, right? A lot of you, when you see it, you're going to just faint because you're so much away from nature and the overstanding of these things. When you see it, you will think it's God and you will pass out and you will faint. And some people will die bearing witness to this. Some individuals' eyes will not be able to witness this, right? Some people's ears will not be able to bear the sound. Your brain will not be able to tolerate the frequencies. This is what it's talking about when the trumpets have blown. You are talking about the earth, the planet Earth, making thunderous sounds that you've never heard before, louder than any thunder that you've ever heard or you can imagine on this planet right now. So at the time of you facing great adversity, needing great hope in these days of darkness, because we're coming into the dark ages. People do not realize it. You know, they talk all this light stuff, but we're coming into the dark ages where technology will become so advanced, manipulation will become so intense, people's brains will be chipped, clones. We're coming into this era where it's public. So more people will become willing to give their self to the beast in any kind of way. And as these people become more willing and fall deeper asleep, it allows the government to try to put on a false light show. All right, because they've been sitting in the clouds for a while. Using aerodynamics, technology is able to sit in the clouds and they can give you light shows that makes you think that it's UFOs and make you think it's all kind of things, where it's actually pretty much a disco ball sitting on top of clouds or hiding in the midst of clouds. But that is not what I'm talking about. That is a deception. That's a great deception right there. You know, you want the false Christ and you want all this stuff come from the sky. Well, yeah, they'll show you a bodily figure coming from the sky. He might even have his hands open. He might have something written on his head. It'll be a complete hologram issued and created by the government. But that'll be a false Christ. The real deal is going to be the forces behind nature that will ultimately crush the eyes and ears of puny humans who are not aligned, who are not in line with their etheric double, the only double that can exist through different atmospheres and change, right? Because it's all vibrations, and your physical flesh can only exist on this lowest plane of existence that we're on right now, in the flesh. So when we're talking about realigning our bodies to be picked up of some sort, I mean, that's literal as well. We are talking about an etheric double being picked up. Mentally, you elevate into a point where you can oversee everything beneath you. Every situation lies beneath you, and you have the power now to predict an outcome of any situation, okay, to become psychic and to control and change the future. This is what this is about, all right? This is the levels that we are trying to reach, some of us. So you have to put this all in perspective, ladies and gentlemen, and understand. You have taken things out of, put them in your logical understanding. Therefore, you're all about yourself and your self-knowledge, where though this knowledge is universal. This knowledge belongs to the stars as well. This is not your knowledge, okay? You did not make this stuff up. You didn't go stick a plug inside the dirt and get electricity. You didn't stick a plug inside the water and get electricity. That's not the way it works. All right. You've been contacted. Individuals have been contacted through their subconscious mind with these great ideas. All right. With these great voices to say certain things and to do certain things for different agendas, as I explained through all my videos. Okay. So a lot of people have been fooled into self-knowledge, into the I principle. I mean, it's gotten so bad, people don't know what to expect. And they feel safer in certain areas of information, because when you talk about crystal cities and things happening in the skies and all this type of stuff, people want to try to put that into prophecies, right? But this is also scientific. This is scientific. The atmosphere changing, the polar shifts. I mean, you can say it how you want. You can use whatever parallel analogy that you want. The facts remain that this will take place and you will witness it with your own eyes. If your eyes are capable, go look at the sun, right? Look at images from the past 100 years of the sun shining through the atmosphere. And now look at the modern day sun and the way it shines through the atmosphere. And you'll see it is much more dimmer than it was before. And in the next 100 years, 200 to 500 years, we will be approaching these days of darkness. And it will become so dark, so hopeless, that the sun will pass through these clouds, bringing forth a much needed light that will send these vampires and these goblins back underneath the surface of the earth. This is not for play. The sun will shine, and when it shines in these days of darkness, it will be so colorful that it will be a crystal show in the sky. It will be a light show. The earth will be a disco ball at that point. You understand? Angels at different angles of lights, bringing forth different perceptions and forms, all here to save you in different ways. So nature is behind the angels. Nature is behind the events that will take place to ultimately save you. It is not a spook. It is a real thing. Talk to the plants, talk to the trees, talk to the grass. They can hear you. When you walk too hard, they can feel you. They can feel your emotions. They deal with sound frequencies. So you're not the only one crying out. Nature is also crying out as well. And when nature calls, few are chosen, to prepare those who have a heart. And it's a wrap for the rest. It will be the most prettiest, ugliest, magical deaths on this planet. Nature will begin to wipe out all disagreeable species. Okay? It begins to kill everything that is adverse to the planet's existence and ascension. And you see these storms and these earthquakes and these landslides all over the planet breaking previous records. And they will continue to break records. And it will, 20 years from now, the records being broken, these storms will not even compare to the storms that our people will see in the future, especially the children. This is why it's important to teach the children and prepare the children for the real world. Not the world that you want it to be, not the television world, but the world that it is. Prepare for the biggest battle known to human existence. Good versus evil.